So I just watched Avatar: The Way of Water in theaters, and...
God, there are some f***ed up fish out there.
How can you even begin talking about a movie this long in the making? The first Avatar was released 13 years ago in December 2009, and I guess I'll start off by saying that I'm not a fan of that movie. When I saw it in theaters way back when, I remember being absolutely floored by the visuals. And yeah, I liked it when it first came out. But that doesn't really mean anything. In 2009, I also liked X-Men Origins Wolverine and Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And needless to say, I grew out of those, and Avatar was no different. After rewatching it several times at home on a smaller screen, my focus shifted from the outstanding visuals to the lackluster story and cookie-cutter characters. And thus, I was a fan no more. But regardless, now that the sequel is out, I was interested in seeing what it has to offer. Who knows, maybe it improved on the first one. And after seeing it, I can say, yeah, I think it's better than the first Avatar. But only slightly. Let's start with the good. Obviously, by far and away, the strongest element of the film are the visuals. This is the calling card of this franchise, and Avatar: The Way of Water does not disappoint. This film is breathtakingly beautiful, but it's not just the CGI, which is probably the most impressive CGI I've ever seen in any movie, but it's also the way the film is shot. James Cameron really knows how to shoot a picture. Everything about the cinematography, the angles, the camera movements, the vivid colors, the shadows, the lighting, everything is just excellent. The scenes that take place in the water are the main attraction of the film. This was the reason the film was delayed for so long. James Cameron wanted to develop technology that would enable him to shoot motion capture underwater, and in my opinion, the results were worth the wait. Avatar: The Way of Water is absolutely spectacular on a visual standpoint, and nothing can take that away from this movie, even if it is due to James Cameron's strange water fetish. On top of that, you've got the music, which was also one of the best elements of the first film. The sequel reuses plenty of the older themes and adds a bunch of new ones as well, which I liked just as much. On a technical standpoint, this film is a masterpiece. On a story front, I have to admit that I actually really liked the way the movie started off. My biggest gripe with the first film is that it feels less like a movie and more like a National Geographic special about Pandora. The vast majority of the runtime was dedicated to learning the ways of the Na'vi, studying the flora, examining the fauna, learning about their deity Eywa, and so on and so on and so on. That film took world building to a whole other level, and not in a good way. But the sequel, or at least its beginning, cuts the bullshit, introduces the good guys and the bad guys, and immediately pits them off against one another, whilst also establishing all of the major relationships that will develop throughout the film. That's really good and engaging stuff. Avatar: The Way of Water starts strong. Unfortunately, when they go to the sea people, the movie goes off the rails and exhibits all the same issues that I had with the first Avatar. I think this is the appropriate time to get to the bad, which is almost everything else about the movie. The biggest issue with the film is its length. So this is what it means to have too much of a good thing. This film was exhausting. By the end, I felt like I had just finished an endurance test or something. And it's not like I have something against long films. The Godfather is 3 hours long, the Lord of the Rings films are 3 hours long each, and these are some of my favorite movies of all time. But with Avatar: The Way of Water, it really could have been and should have been shorter. But I think that James Cameron just got high on his own supply, and after 13 years of working on this passion project, he just didn't want to cut out too much, which is understandable, but it hurts the film and the viewing experience for the audience. I mean, there's just so much visual splendor a pair of tired and weary eyes can take in such a short time. I'm getting old. Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana reprise their roles from the first film, but honestly, they kinda take a back seat in this one, whilst the children take center stage. And I kinda liked the new characters and the family dynamic. Let's just say that it was easier for me to relate to the characters this time around. However, with that being said, the characters, by and large, receive the cardboard cutout treatment once again. You've got the stereotypical good guys, which are the peaceful indigenous who live in harmony with nature, and the stereotypical bad guys, who are the evil white colonizers bent on destroying everything that is good and holy in the world, yada yada yada. I've seen it all before. Granted, this one feels less preachy than the first one. The focus here is more on the characters and less on the message, which I guess is a plus, but it's still pretty preachy in its own right. Not to mention that this film unfortunately feels way less consequential than the first one, which is probably the biggest negative this film has in relation to the original. Say what you will about the first Avatar, but things actually do happen in that movie. And by the time the credits roll, the characters have changed and the story has made its progression from point A to point B. This film, however, feels like nothing meaningful has really changed throughout, which is a really big deal because for a film this long, the least you'd expect is a story with some meaningful progression. It really is a shame, if you ask me, but Avatar: The Way of Water feels like a case of one step forward, two steps back. For every improvement over its predecessor, you've got a different problem that rears its ugly head. For example, when our heroes get to the water people, we're treated to the most gorgeous scenes in the film. But, as I said before, the story also takes a nosedive, no pun intended, as it grinds to a halt in order for us to learn, to examine, to study, and before you know it, it's the National Geographic Channel again. The end result of all of this is a film that is a slight improvement over the first one. But for a film this long in the making, with such a huge budget that showcases the best our modern filmmaking technology has to offer, a slight improvement just isn't gonna cut it for me. So yes, it is a step in the right direction, but at the end of the day, it's another disappointment. And I'm giving this film a 5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button, it'll help my channel out. And if you want to see more of my videos, then subscribe to my channel so you won't miss a thing. Thank you all very much, and have a good one.